let's make no mistake, we have our share of challenges that are unique to our city. In many ways, Washington is the greatest symbol of our nation's democracy. Yet, we as Washingtonians continue to be the only people in our nation that remain shut out of that democracy. In our system of government, presidents change and control of Congress swings like a pendulum. But there is at least one constant. We, the residents of this city, remain here from one administration to the next and one Congress to the next. That is why we cannot rest until we achieve true self-determination. And yes, become our nation's 51st state in the United States of America. And while we must remain diligent in that quest, we also appreciate the special and beneficial, I might say, relationship that we share with the federal government. That is why my administration is looking forward to working closely with the White House and the federal agencies to achieve progress for our city. Whether it's creating jobs, improving education, or strengthening our government, President Obama and my administration share many of the same goals, and we plan to work closely to achieve them. I truly appreciated the opportunity to discuss our priorities with President Obama at our lunch at the White House on December 1st. And I'm encouraged by the assurance of regular, meaningful engagement I have received from the President's cabinet and his staff. Quite simply, I know we can accomplish great things to make our city the best nation's capital in the world. But while our complicated relationship with the federal government makes us unique, in many respects, our city is no different from so many other cities and states. Our families want the same things as families in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Miami. What we want is a fair shot at achieving the American dream and creating a better future for our children. Our people are just as hardworking, just as resilient, just as hopeful, and just as optimistic as anywhere else. Our city has the world-class resources and a dedicated workforce to make us economically competitive with any city in the world. And we share many of the same challenges as other cities. An educational achievement gap that is simply unacceptable, a record unemployment rate that is ravaging communities across the city, especially east of the river, too many families that feel unsafe in their own neighborhoods, and a global economic crisis that has created a city budget crisis, leaving us to make some very painful choices in the weeks and months ahead. These are serious and difficult challenges that affect each one of us, regardless of where we live in the city, and they will not be solved overnight. Dealing with them will require patience and sacrifice from every one of us. But there is no question in my mind that our challenges can and will be met if we all come together to make that happen. If we come together as one city, we will bring a collaborative and holistic approach to education reform, an approach that involves parents and teachers in the process, but uncompromisingly puts our children first in that equation. An approach born in the recognition that education is the great equalizer and the great liberator for our children, and frankly is the foundation of our city's future economic revival. If we come together as one city, we will find ways to put more district residents back to work and create an environment to help our small business owners thrive and succeed. If we come together as one city and work hand in hand with our hard-working public safety officers, we will create neighborhoods in which every family feels safe because they are safe. If we come together as one city, we will bring increased transparency to our budget process, ensure that taxpayer dollars are treated with respect, and hold our elected leaders, every one of us, accountable for our actions. And if we come together as one city, yes, we will one day realize the same right to self-determination that every other American already enjoys in the United States of America. I know that we're capable of doing this because I've seen us rise to the occasion before. As a lifelong resident of our city, I have seen the people of the district celebrating good times and show unshakable resilience when times were tough. And what I've learned is that when the diverse people of the district from all of our wonderfully diverse neighborhoods come together as one city and take ownership of it as our city, there's nothing that we can't accomplish. It is that most fundamentally American characteristic in this most fundamentally American city that we celebrate today. And that will carry and guide us as we move forward together. And so today, as a new mayor takes office, as a new administration begins to take shape with a team that is reflective of the entire city, as a new council chair takes the gavel, as a dedicated group of public servants take their seats on the council, as our fearless and tireless warrior on the Hill, on Capitol Hill, prepares to take our cause before new congressional leadership, we stand ready to tackle the challenges before us, both those that are known and those that have yet to reveal themselves. But we also know that we cannot do this alone. No mayor and no council can. These challenges cannot be solved by a handful of talented people in the halls of the Wilson Building. They have to be tackled in every part of the city, quadrant by quadrant, neighborhood by neighborhood, street by street, and home by home. The people of the district, all of the people, must be a part of these efforts. Now is not the time for complacency, nor the time to sit on the sidelines. Now is the time to spring to collective action as one city in order to build our city. When I was a child, growing up in a one-bedroom apartment on 6th Street Northeast, I watched my mother dutifully go out and sweep the sidewalks in front and the alleys in back. One day I asked her, "Why do you do that, Mom? Those streets and sidewalks belong to the city." And in so many words, my mom said, "Those streets and sidewalks belong to us. And we have to do our part to keep them clean because this is our neighborhood and this is our city." Just as President Kennedy urged all Americans to ask not what our country can do for us, but what we can do for our country, now is the time for all district residents to make the sacrifices needed to weather the storm we face, and to ask not what your city can do for you, but what you can do for your city. Just as President Clinton called for us to take more responsibility, not only for ourselves and our families, but for our communities and our country, now is the time for all of us to be moved by a spirit of service at the community and neighborhood level, and to help build our city. Just as President Obama urged all of us to usher in a new era of responsibility and reminded us that greatness is never given, it is earned, now is the time for each and every one of us to renew our commitment to ensuring that we live in the world-class city and the world-class state that we know it can be. Today, we begin a new chapter in the history of our city, one defined by a sense of common purpose, shared sacrifice, and communities united. A chapter written not by a single author, but with the pens of 600,000 residents from all 8 wards and all walks of life, committed to a vision of one city, our city. From the West End to the East End, this is one city, our city. From DuPont Circle to Randall Circle, this is one city, our city. From McLean Gardens to Naylor Gardens and Chinatown to Tinleytown, this is one city, our city. From Friendship Heights to Columbia Heights to Lincoln Heights to Congress Heights, this is one city, our city. From Fort Lincoln to Lincoln Park, this is one city, our city. From Forest Hills to Hillcrest and Fairfax Village to Colonial Village, this is one city, our city. As I stand here today, looking out on this magnificent crowd gathered here today, seeing the many diverse faces of the district, I'm filled with pride. But what I'm most proud of is not the office I'm entering. It is a much deeper pride in being a resident of the District of Columbia and raising my family in the District of Columbia. It is a pride in the people of the District of Columbia. Pride in knowing that I can reach out to you as friends, neighbors, and part of a collective community. It is a pride that is our city. It is a pride that says the value we place, states the value we place in the collective dignity. That we won't settle for even one child being undereducated. That we won't accept people being out of work. That we won't tolerate crime. And frankly, that we won't stand for disenfranchisement because we aspire to be the best democracy in the world. President Abraham Lincoln once said, "Allow all the governed an equal voice in the government, and that, and only that, is self-government." My friends, it is then, and only then, that we can proclaim that this nation's promise of justice for all finally has arrived in the District of Columbia. Thank you very much.